Whālawhalahiatu, good evening and welcome to our bulletin of BCN News for tonight. Leading the news tonight, the government's budget was passed today. Just after 4:30 p.m. and after 2 days of deliberations, the Whanokepule passed the government's annual appropriations bill 2021 to 2022. The budget stands at a total of $37.3 million, which includes the donor funds. The recurrent budget for the government is $33.5 million, a revenue budget of $28.8 million. The government's recurrent budget remains at just over $4 million in a deficit budget. Here's more on the budget. Former Minister of Finance and politician of nearly 30 years, Honourable Terry Coe, argued with the Speaker on the way to read through the budget. Other long-sitting members, including the member for Vaiea, Talaisi Tamatalaisi, also tried to help with ways to read the budget. This then prompted veteran politician Olaf Jacobson to ask for a training workshop on how to read the budget document. However, Speaker Honourable Himatakelesi proceeded with the meeting, and the second reading of the budget document went without a hitch. The chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, Richard Hipper, presented the committee's report of recommendations after 2 weeks of meetings and consultations with government departments. Minister of Finance Crosley Tatui acknowledged the efforts of the committee in the production of the independent report. However, Premier Dalton Tangilangi felt that the Public Accounts Committee's report primarily made up of recommendations on operational matters. He was hoping that the committee's report will contain recommendations on ways in which to address the budget deficit of $4.7 million. Here is a summary of some of the recommendations of the Public Accounts Committee in day one of the budget deliberations. The committee recommended that the government establish an aid coordination unit to work under the Office of the Secretary to Government. For the Project Management Coordination Unit, PMCU, the committee recommend that this unit be moved under External Affairs and work closely with Treasury. The committee note that PMCU is responsible for the management of more than $30 million of projects, but are having issues managing these projects, citing the example of the new Parliament building as having encountered numerous issues. The committee further recommend that the current staff undergo project and financial management training and possibly recruit employees with these qualifications. The committee further recommend that the current staff undergo project and financial management training and possibly for future recruit or new employees should acquire these qualifications. For the new police, the committee recommend that the police upgrade the road signs around the island now that they are given the authority to issue instant fines. For the Crown Law Office, the committee note that there are only 2 lawyers working in that office and 1 administrator. The committee recommend that more lawyers should be recruited to work as government lawyers. In response to the committee's report, Common Role member Olaf Jacobson continued to raise concerns over the lack of parliamentary oversight of the state-owned enterprise. Jacobson has been a strong voice within the halls of the Whanokepule and pushing for parliamentary oversights of state-owned enterprises. Yesterday, Jacobson said that the Whanokepule is being used as a rubber stamp and that some state-owned enterprises continue to ignore the fundamental role of oversight by the legislators.
This is the second year those budgets have not come to this House to be included as an appropriation.
Honourable Jacobson told the whānau that if she had money, she would take the government to court for the inaction to address the lack of compliance from the state-owned enterprises to table their budgets before the Whanokepule.
We have not complied. We have not complied with what is legally required in this House, and we've allowed that to happen yet again. I'm worried about this, Mr. Speaker, because I don't know that this is a good standard to set, and we pride ourselves as having done so very well. Is it any wonder that in the audit report reflected our poor standing of how we keep our records and how we report on these things? And that's because this House has failed in our job to be the gatekeeper and the people who keeps an eye on and oversight on what is going on. I ask you, Mr. Speaker, please, can we check on the legality of this matter, because to me it definitely is not right.
Niue is one of the few countries in the Pacific without a state-owned enterprise or public enterprise law. Telecom Niue, the government's largest SOE, operates as a business under the Niue Companies Act. The other state-owned enterprises, such as the Niue Bond and Liquor Store and the Niue Nonu Farm, operate under the Niue Philatelic and Numismatic Corporation under the NPNC Act. Earlier this year, parliamentary oversight was reinstated, which provides that the financial appropriations and reporting of this state-owned enterprise be tabled before the Whanokepule. BCN News will bring more on the budget in future bulletins. And the second phase of the vaccine rollout has begun last Thursday. The first 32 people who took their second dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and yesterday the rollout of the second dose continued. Premier Dalton Tangilangi also took his second dose yesterday. Minister of Health Sauni Tongatula informed the Whanokepule yesterday that 1,184 people took their first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine a few weeks ago. He thanked the people and the frontline workers for their commitment to keeping Niue safe. One of the very few people on the island not to have taken the first dose weeks ago is Common Role member Terry Coe. He confirmed to BCN News this week that he has reconsidered this decision not to be vaccinated, and he will take his first dose of the vaccine when the children 12 to 15 years old will take theirs. Honourable Coe, who is nearing 80 years old, says that he feels healthy and well and does not believe that he needs to take the vaccine, but that he will do it with the children whenever the government decides that will be. There are 141 children on the island in this age group, 65 girls and 76 boys. The government have yet to decide on the vaccination of this age group. Minister Tongatula informed the Whanokepule yesterday that the government will complete the second phase of the vaccine rollout before deciding on when the children will take their first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. The chair of the Whanakepule's Constitution Review Committee, Honourable Olaf Jacobson, says that the public consultations part of the process to review the Constitution is done. It is now the business of the House. Honourable Jacobson was on News of the Week programme on Friday last week. Jacobson says that the members of the Parliament, especially the village members, were given 13 weeks to discuss what their constituencies or members of their villages want to be reviewed or changed in the Constitution. She said the public was given that time to provide their submissions by the end of April. This deadline was extended to the 3rd of May, when the committee received only 36 submissions. From those submissions, the committee tabled their report at the Whanokepule in early June. At that sitting of the whānau, the member from Lakapa, John Opusiakia, and Common Role member Terry Coe argued to allow more time for public consultations on the report of the committee. BCN News reported last week that Honourable Jacobson had, at that meeting, invited the members to take the report to their villages and to their constituencies for further discussions. However, the chairperson of the Whanokepule Select Committee on the Review of the 1974 Constitution said that BCN reported incorrectly her remarks at that meeting. She said she did not say that the MPs can take the report containing the 9 priorities to their villages for further consultations. Honourable Jacobson on radio said that the time for public consultations is over, that the report is now the business of the House. When asked on radio if she felt there was enough public interest in the undertaking to review the Constitution, Honourable Jacobson paused before saying no. She explained that perhaps the lack of public interest is because the people feel that this should be discussed by their elected representatives. The Constitution Review Committee contained the majority of the island's legislators, with 14 of them part of this committee. In addition to 2 advisors and former Minister Billy Talangi and lawyer Sinahe Coe. The committee is also supported with legal advisors from the Crown Law Office. The annual Girls Brigade Awards presentation was held over the weekend at the Millennium Hall. This is the annual event when the Brigaders are recognised for their achievements and promotions. Here's Sana Sioniholo with more on that story.
The annual Girls Brigade Awards presentation was held over the weekend at the Millennium Hall. This is the annual event when the brigaders are recognized for their achievements and promotions. This year, the following awards were presented to Tiola Kampala and Ivatanivisi from Malofi, Sibel Mokalea and Shatina Sekimotu from Avasele, Sarai Monomono from Tamakautonga, Joylyn Pomale from Liku, and Henrietta Sionetama from Tuapa. There were also 3 new officers, Kathleen Sontuato from Avasele, Rogel Danaki from Hakupu, and Judy Eni Tohovaka from Makifu. The new uniform for the pioneers was also launched at this event.
The Sports Day is usually one of the highlights of the school calendar events. On Tuesday this week, the New Primary School hosted their successful Cultural Sports Day, where parents and invited guests all gathered at Poliasi. Here's more with Sana Sioneholo.
The day was all about maintaining cultural sports through the promotion of traditional values. The school's 4 sports teams named after fish species of hahave, malo, paiko and tufu danced and entertained their way with the traditional meke in the March Past routine, with tufu winning the March Past. One of the highlights of the day would have to be the winning Tasika champion in Year 3 students, Tuputonga Mutfu, winning against students 3 years older than him. Congratulations to the principal, acting principal, staff and students for yet another successful cultural sports day. Here are the results from the day. We start with the top athletes or champions from Year 1 to Year 6. Year 1 boy goes to Poilita Iyo. Year 1 girl goes to Eliora Karikaritu. Year 2 boy goes to Bevan Smith, and Year 2 girls go to Distailen Tomailunga. Year 3 boy go to Tuputonga Mutfu, and Year 3 girl goes to Foini Heko. Year 4 boy goes to Samson Nelisi, and Year 4 girls goes to Lihena Ili Heko. Year 5 boys goes to Jeffrey Handuman, and Year 5 girls goes to Quintin Palimia Puletama. Year 6 boys goes to Alessana Pihingia. Year 6 girls goes to Sowi Tongyavolu. And some of the special prizes and awards for the girls with the 2021 All of One New Champion is Taina Pulini. And for the boys, 2021 Sika Champion goes to Year 3 students Tuputonga Mutufo. For the March Past Meke routine, the trophy is awarded to the team Tufu. After all the points were tallied, the Niue Primary School 2021 Champion House goes to Malo. Second Paeko, third Tufu, and fourth Hahave.
Congratulations, Niue Primary School. And before we leave you, here's a story about a 7-year-old boy. His name is Tuputonga Mutfu. He picked up his first sika when he was about 4 years old and started throwing it as a sport when he was about 5 years old. Today we went to Tuputonga's school, Niue Primary School, to talk to him about his mammoth feat, winning the Sika Championships on his first try. This is the first year that Tuputonga had entered the championship for Niue Primary School, competing against students 3 years older than him. Here's more. A mammoth feat for the 7-year-old boy when he competed this week in the Niue Primary School Tasika and winning that championship title. He competed with students 3 years older than him and these boys who are 3 times his size. BCN News went up to Tuputonga's school today to speak with him, but he was just not ready to speak to the media just yet. He was, though, happy to show us how skilled he is in the traditional sport of Tasika, and standing close to his father, Api Vakaafi Mutfu. For a while, we realized that this little boy doesn't understand the impact of his win on many people. On social media, people have marveled at his achievement, and the news of the sports was shared numerous times and even shared online by Pacifica TV. 7-year-old Tuputonga might be small in stature and very shy, but he can throw the sika like a pro. Congratulations, Tuputonga. I wish you all the best as you perfect your craft. That's our news for tonight. Please join me again on Tuesday next week for our bulletin in Wangahau Niue. Until then, you have a wonderful weekend. Good night.